Early education provides the foundational learning for a child, whereas higher education is where dreams take shape, transforming aspirations into reality. While this path through higher education is filled with opportunities, growth, and learning, for many students with specific learning disabilities, it often feels like an uphill battle.
We don't have very clear standard guidelines or parameters or norms that we can apply across the board. Given that, when we talk about autism or when we talk about dyslexia, or I know for a fact we have students with dyscalculia and dysgraphia as well. And so there are these very difficult to kind of standardize or determine kind of ailments. So in a sense, one is how do we deal with such students? The other is what kind of accommodation can we provide?
Due to this, a significant portion of our future workforce is missing valuable opportunities to contribute to nation building.
Students with disabilities, even learning disabilities, are in no way inferior in terms of merit and understanding and their capacity to apply their mind or reasoning when it comes to any of the curricular requirements. They may be creative in many more ways, which unfortunately in our standardized time-bound pursuit of excellence we may not give as much weight, but tomorrow's workplace may actually find them very sensitive, very productive, very cooperative, and excellent colleagues at work.
But the tide is turning. A significant transformation is underway to address these challenges. The government, through the National Education Policy (NEP 2020), is working towards reforming the higher education system at a population scale to ensure all students, including those with learning disabilities, receive essential support.
NEP 2020 is across the board. It's being implemented in school, it is being implemented in higher education. The school education system is also going across this type of a reform to take care of children of such needs, who have such special disabilities. But once they pass out from the school education system and find themselves into the higher education system, we should ensure that the facilitation that the school system has provided is also available in the higher education ecosystem. So there is a continuum of this work that needs to continue in terms of even in an entrance examination or the terms of assessment that these students need to go. These practices need to get deployed across all higher education institutions to ensure that the student coming out from the school education system has a seamless entry into the higher education ecosystem.
Designed with intention and a mindful approach, this policy fosters awareness, inclusion, and a clear roadmap for remedial measures, strengthening higher education institutions nationwide.
The National Education Policy 2020 mentions about the need for multidisciplinary education and an inclusive education and an equitable education for all. Now, towards that end, they have classified a category called SEDGs, which includes people with economic disabilities or other disabilities, including students with learning disabilities. Now, you understand that to ensure that to have an inclusive and a diverse classroom or an institution, it is imperative that you get all sections of society into your academic institutions, both at the faculty level as well as at the student level. Now, why that is very important, you would see that all top ranking universities across the globe highlight the diversity that their institution brings, the opportunities it provides to students with less fortunate environment to be part of a good academic institution. It is imperative for governments to ensure that these type of facilities and opportunities are available to all, one and all. So students with such type of disabilities have an equal right or an access to such type of education as well as infrastructure. Now that can't happen unless this sensitization happens across the board, be it at the admission stage, be it at the faculty stage while you're conducting classes, or in social academic group activities that every student is involved in. Unless the faculty and fellow students know about this, the spread of this sensitization will not happen. And once that we feel that that awareness is created, we are sure that this empathy and understanding towards such children and colleagues will come up.
At the core of this policy is inclusivity in classrooms, fostering diversity that not only benefits students with learning disabilities, but also cultivates empathy among all learners.
I started off by mentioning the importance of diversity in a classroom. Okay, that's a great education for a student himself. Okay, once he has an empathy and understanding about the challenges his fellow student faces, his own exposure and mandate towards life, his own, while he solves a problem for society, he will have this in mind as to keeping the needs of such diverse population in mind while executing a project. Now, once you are able to give these statistics to students and faculty, then it's a big eye-opener. Otherwise, people are misconstrued of why students are not able to read a paragraph. It's something that he cannot do himself. It is genetically that he has been born with that type of disability. But small checks can rectify that learning process. So unless there is this diversity in a classroom, it is very difficult for a student to appreciate the challenges another fellow student of such type of disability will have when he faces the world.
The government is implementing this policy through a well-structured approach that addresses these challenges comprehensively and strengthening institutions across nation in the process.
We deliberately spread it over 6 different phases. So we all started with orientation of higher education, heads of the institutions. Then we did sensitization of different heads of different departments like admission department, student welfare department, academic affairs department, IT department, examination department, placement department, because these are the departments where the functionaries have to interact with children with a specific learning disability. So idea was that let us first focus on these functionaries. So once their capacity is enhanced, the issue related to a specific learning disability of children will be addressed automatically. So then we moved. Then we started after sensitization of all these heads of the department. We started with online session. So we covered each department in different online session. So in the 4th phase, we had a in-person session where all faculties, identified institutions, identified faculties, they came in in-person sessions where they came together. Again, the idea was to do hand-holding of these faculties during these in-person sessions. And thereafter, we are doing monitoring phase where we are interacting with those who have already attended all these sessions to know what learning they have taken back into their institution, how they are able to implement it.
Colleges and institutions emphasize the need to sensitize and involve faculty as key enablers for greater impact.
We need to work with faculty. I think that approach is very commendable because from experience we can tell you it is the faculty-centered approach that matters. And even today, whether we talk about primary school or secondary or education at the level of master's level, I think the teacher, the faculty is still the person around whom we would like to develop these efforts. But the challenge is, how do we make the message more standardized? How do we make the message more across the board, which is always a requirement.
In response, the government prioritized awareness and sensitization initiatives for both teaching and administrative faculty.
Being chairman of AICTE, we decided to constitute a committee headed by one of the former directors of IITs, that is Dr. Chakravarti, Partha Chakravarti. And then there were several others who were very passionate about this aspect, including Nupur herself. And we created a sort of benchmarks which need to be followed to identify, to support. Because every school, every college may not be able to handle because of both cost and the quality issue. Because not every teacher has ability to handle this. At the same time, not every institute may have technological intervention facilities which are expensive. And therefore, at least in every state, one technical institute should be geared up with support, funding for training of those faculty, and also provide those equipment support whereby such children will not be left out from the mainstream. So mainstreaming them was the main idea behind this whole committee's recommendation.
National Education Policy also speaks or stipulates that whatever capacity building program for teacher or faculty we are doing, this element of specific learning disability should essentially be part of every capacity building program. So with this requirement under the NEP2020, under the leadership of Secretary Higher Education and his guidance, we started deliberating with various stakeholders as to how to carry forward this activity. Because unless we bring faculty of higher education unless they become partner to this activity, we will not be able to succeed implementation of these specific issues. I mean to address the issue of children with a specific learning disability in higher education. So with this view, this specific component of capacity building on a specific learning disability was started.
Basically, with this capacity building, we are trying to sensitize our faculty members. It is, we are progressing towards it. Maybe the first step we have taken in this huge, kind of responsibility that institutions have. In this context, it is how we get together both, the teaching faculty and the administration together. Say a teacher would be should understand what are the kind of interventions, what are the kind of special facilities or accommodation that is to be given to a child with special needs, in terms of at the time of admission, at the time of examination, at the time of giving him accommodation in the hostel, while designing an exam or a assessment of the children, and so on and so forth. Likewise, also with the non-teaching people who should be made aware of the kind of special requirements of such children.
A large and nuanced reform initiative of such scale came with its own challenges, both at design and implementation stages.
So, the purpose of all this sensitization, it provided us opportunity to learn that these are issues which has to be addressed by way of specific intervention. It is not something that we are doing in favor to any special favor to any student.
The first challenge is getting a partner who will stand with you to go through this journey. A partner who has an experience of this type of a subject. A partner who is able to bring in students, faculty who have gone through this journey. We need champions in all institutions to be the focal point for this change to happen in their institution. So identifying a partner. In our case, we've got Chainlink as a partner to drive us on the content and that part. And then through nomination process, getting champions to lead in each individual institution, identifying the faculty who will take that as a responsibility to carry it forward across domains. Could be in the admission side, it could be in the warden side, hostel side, etc. So identifying champions who will take this forward, take that extra mile to go reach out to the others of his colleagues to implement it in his institution is, I think, the two main criteria for ensuring a successful launch. So having said that, each institution also needs to identify these community-based organizations who have an expertise in this aspect, such that the faculty and institutions can join along with these community-based organizations like Chainlink to see that these workshops or these sensitization programs percolates to each and everyone in their institution.
Thanks to NEP 2020, many colleges today have successfully implemented these guidelines, fostering a more inclusive environment for the broader student community.
Government, I must say, firstly, the law passed by the Parliament in itself is recognizing that the time is appropriate for us to undertake these measures. The NEP policy, as we all know, facilitates a lot of decentralized learning and student-specific choice and electives and all of that. While on the one hand, that is enlarging the scope of student autonomy, our effort has been how do we make that autonomy meaningful for people with disabilities, for students with disabilities. We are still evolving. We as an institution, we need to do a lot more, but I can emphasize on some aspects. One of the things is, for example, class participation is a very common mode of assessment in business schools and management institutions, and so it is even in our own institution. And so, but then class participation may not necessarily be possible or feasible or not in the manner that we expect from every student. So we have worked with faculty on how to redesign, how to enable class participation without discounting it, because there are merits of class participation to be evaluated. Group work is another aspect where we typically assign groups to do projects and assignments, but some of these people may not be in a position to always come out with their best in a group kind of a context. In fact, even within a group, if they are assigned something specifically, they are very good at it, but not really in being able to work out their own space as a group. So again, we try our best to sit with the faculty, the group members, the fellow students, and the concerned student with learning disability, and work out something which is not in any manner undermining the effort or the accommodation that we expect, and try to help them out. We also change the question paper format, not the question, but the format in which the question is being asked. By the way, as an institution, we have also offered, our main program is a 2-year MBA program, but we have gone to the extent of offering a 3rd year as an additional space of time in which they can continue to do the study and complete it. And that in itself is I must say, an exceptional thing that we have done, and I'm glad that our academic council approved it.
While much progress has been made, this journey is still ongoing.
With success of all the first phase since from January to June 2024, we have launched, Secretary Sir has launched second phase, and we are in the process of having second cycle of, so where we have identified around 45 higher education institutions. So we will be soon having sensitization session of these 45 identified institutions.
We need to be forever alert. Right? There is no such thing as, okay, we have done this, now we can sit back and relax. I think this is a journey that we need to always be looking out for the next best thing that is available and the most feasible option, and how can we provide it for our students with disabilities. So as an institution, we can never rest. We need to keep that as our approach of being always alert.
Colleges are creating environments that ensure students with learning disabilities aren't left behind, unlocking the potential of every learner.
We are in no way inferior in terms of merit or by their ability to contribute to tomorrow's world of business and economy. In fact, there are so many celebrities, inventors, scientists who are known to be people with maybe dyslexia and many other such limitations, and yet they've gone on to really achieve a lot in life.
In the end, this inclusive approach benefits both the individual and the nation, tapping into a diverse and talented future workforce.
Normally, all these persons, children with a specific learning disability, they have high potential. Their potential is untapped. They are highly creative. Ignoring the children with learning disability, rather specific learning disability, we are not taking any action to tap the potential which may accrue to the country. So from that perspective, it is really important. That's what NEP says, that we should not leave any child out of the education system. Any child means any child.
Probably children with specific learning disabilities have special abilities. In fact, rather than saying they're specific learning disabilities, they have special abilities. We have to create that sense of, we should give a broad spectrum of what all possibilities are there and let the child choose what they want to do or what that child wants to do.
This is a very vast area. You already have a very diverse student body in many of these higher education institutions. We are not saying that these things get addressed in a day or two because of the large numbers that are involved. It is a matter which has to be done systematically and in a time-bound manner. So there are multiple areas that an academic institution needs to address in addition to its academics, and their ability to prioritize these activities in their regular course of programming and not see it as an extra activity. That's the way we see the journey towards proper, inclusive and equitable education to all students.